Hey, everybody. It's September 15th, 2023, and this is another episode of Protecting the Nest with Carol, Tara, and Amber. Welcome, ladies.
Hi, Tyrone.
Hello, Tyrone.
Hey, y'all doing okay today?
Yes. Yes.
hmm
How are you?
it's still summer here, so hip hip hooray! You never
What is
know.
your temperature like there, Carol?
Well, it's going to be like in the upper 70s or maybe 80 or something like that. It's a lovely, beautiful, summery type. It's beginning of fall kind of day, so it's
Nice.
yeah,
Well,
and
we're
nice.
in the mid 70s to upper 70s because the
Mm.
storm is coming through. So we have
Oh,
that. Yeah, we have that Hurricane Lee, just the
oh,
bands
okay.
going
You
around.
get the
Yeah.
end of it, the
Yeah. Just where
far
it's rainy
ones.
and kind of
Yeah,
cloudy.
okay.
Yeah.
No hurricanes here yet, so we usually get them in November is when we get
Really?
hurricanes. November and December is our stormy season, and we can get up to 100-mile-an-hour winds. But they don't call them hurricanes; they call them, winter storms. But
Oh,
it'll take off roofs and take down trees and
goodness.
cause,
I had no idea that Oregon gets
yeah,
winter hurricanes that they call just winter storms. I had no idea.
yeah. I guess we're. Oh no, I got the doggy barking. I'm gonna mute for a second.
My dog is sitting outside basking in because he's a German Shepherd. So this kind of weather, mid 70s, he's in heaven. Just enough to run around and act crazy, and then lay down and just like sprawl out. It's in the summer where he's just trying to find the coolest area, but right now he's just so happy. It's his perfect weather.
Yeah, right
Well,
before
I'm in
you.
between the dogs barking and the leaf blowers who haven't started yet, so we can hopefully keep going. And maybe they'll be late today. Yeah.
Okay, so I think Tara's gonna join us soon.
Oh
So,
yeah.
Okay.
what did y'all want to start with today?
Well, I sent a couple of links. Carol, did you send anything as
Yeah,
well?
I sent a couple of links. The two links I sent were one to uh, Allison V, the guy, Dr. John Perez, I believe his name is. And it's kind of his story, and it's just a 7-minute little video about why it's so great. And I noticed last night, after I already sent the video, that John really kind of featured Allison V and is starting to use it in his treatment. So um, I thought that was some serendipity there. But I think it's one of those really wonderful things. We don't have to start there. I was just kind of telling you what links I had. The
Oh,
other
okay.
link, the other link I had was to a really interesting video of this ancient cathedral in Scotland called Roslin Cathedral, and how it had been the inside had been plastered up. It was built in the 1400s, and when they unplastered it, they found all these little square cubes and rectangles all over the arches. There are hundreds of them, or maybe thousands, and each one had a different pattern, and they were cymatic patterns. And then somebody actually looked up what the frequencies were and played the song, and found out that a lot of these ancient cathedrals have songs that are in frozen into the architecture. They're
Oh,
actual
yes.
beautiful religious music. And so this guy, autodidactic, which he's in Australia, and autodidactic means self-learning. And what he thinks is that these cathedrals are like rife machines. They were healing places of healing. So anyway, it's a really
And
cool.
there's stained glass window. Is that what you're
Yeah.
talking
Well,
about?
there's
Yes.
windows, but what he's talking about are these little weird squares and cubes hanging down. That's what they used to decipher the music in this case, and found that also just the schematics of the architecture and where the columns are placed is different in each cathedral, and those can also be cymatically played. So anyway, it's just really cool.
Well, what's really cool is uh I sing with a symphony chorus, and I'll tell you the very best, like we love singing, in cathedrals, monasteries. So some of our best sound comes from when we are in a cathedral or an older monastery.
Mhm.
They've shaped everything. And actually, there's music within the window panes of,
Yeah.
of the stained glass window because of the shapes. And when you get the resonance of that and you play
Mhm.
what that sounds like, it is amazing. And when you're in there and you're singing, your voice actually comes back to you and it encompasses the whole area. But you go into an auditorium that's just a regular performance auditorium, the
Mhm.
sound is lost. They actually have to put sound holders in. They have to do all of this manipulation with styrofoam, with all this, soundproofing in order to just get a pretty good sound. But
Yeah.
it's so funny how they can do it with just architecture. You don't need anything else,
Well,
and
it's not
your sound is
funny. It
amazing.
looks like it was very consciously planned, and that the pipe organs too resonate within those frequencies in
Yes, they
because
used to put them
they were
up.
built into the cathedral.
Right, and there's a reason why they used to go up in the center, the
Mhm.
organ, because it would actually transfer that music, push it forward, and pull it
Yeah.
back in, and it would do like a weird sound like this. Because one of the monasteries we sang at, we noticed an organ at the very top, and our instructor said, "Well, that's what they used to do in order to pull the sound all the way from the top front to the back, the furthest
Wow.
back, all the way back up. So it makes a circle like this while people are singing like this. So we're pushing out singing. The sound is doing this while the organ is doing this. And so it makes a complete
Well, that is
sounding
totally cool
difference.
because I did that report on frequencies, and it talked about how the perpendicular axes of the fields, one is electrical and one is magnetic, and how we're both, and how the earth is both, and we're all hooked into those larger fractal polarities. So it's just so cool to learn all this stuff, and how you feel when you sing or you're in one of those resonant places. It just affects everything. I played the cello a little bit, and just having that big instrument resonating right all along your whole body
Yes. And the
is so
connection you have with
powerful.
people, not only the people you're singing with, but the people listening,
Mhm.
there's a definite connection
Yeah.
made. And the two clips that I sent Tyrone, one has to do with Bezos and Amazon, and just digging further into some oddities when it comes to markets, when it comes to monopolies, when it comes to corporate capture. And then the other has to do with our housing market and the President Obama's administration, and how what we're seeing right now taking place was actually put into fruition during that time. So those are the two that I have.
Well, cool. And it sounds like Tara's on her way. So we've got all sorts of stuff. Yeah, I've got a little research I wanted to talk to too about too, that has to do with just the parallels between polio and what's going on now too.
Nice.
I
Uh,
found a really, really interesting
do
book.
we want to start with mine, that way we get
Yeah,
out the
sure.
like the more
The icky stuff.
monetary, yeah,
Yeah.
the icky, like I hate facing this, but this is what we have to deal with in order to know what's happening and know where to push back, like
Mhm.
on a more government executive legislative arena where we can easily explain it, and then go into the deeper understandings of what's going
Mhm.
on a deeper level, and the science of things versus the economic side of things. We can start
Yeah, that
economics and
sounds
move to
good.
science. All right, awesome.
Okay, we'll start with this one by cancel this clothing code.
Yeah, Bezos.
I have a crazy conspiracy theory about Amazon.com, about how Jeff Bezos might be doing a lot more messed up shit than he realizes. But before we start this video, I need to really clarify that this is just a made up theory, and this is not an accusation of any crimes, and this should not be construed as facts. This is just for entertainment purposes. We're going to start here, and we're going to end here. And there's a lot of things I probably shouldn't say, so try to read between the lines. Look at this list of companies and tell me what they all have in common. You said that they were all once competitors with Amazon.com. you'd be correct. But if you said that they all either went bankrupt or were acquired by other companies, you would also be correct. We're going to look deeper into just a few of these. JCPenney, Sears, OfficeMax, Circuit City, all these companies went bankrupt in the last, 10-ish years. They all had a lot of debt pulling them down. Often, when a company's struggling with a lot of debt, they shake up the management team. Often the CEO gets switched out and a whole new team of people come in. And they often hire consulting groups. In these particular examples, Boston Consulting Group shows up over and over, and they charge a lot of money for their services. And the whole point of companies like OfficeMax hiring BCG, Boston Consulting Group, is for them to help turn the company around or put in a merger, anything to bring them back from the brink of destruction. Right before JCPenney went down, they hired a guy from Boston Consulting Group. Right before Sears went down, their new chief administrative officer had spent 25 years at Boston Consulting Group. I mean, the whole point of hiring these people is all the connections they have from all their time doing these kinds of jobs. Even the Treasury Department is hiring Boston Consulting Group when they were restructuring General Motors. But an awful lot of the clients of Boston Consulting Group wind up going bankrupt. Or in the case of Whole Foods, Boston Consulting Group helped them get bought out by Amazon. Amazon wanted that business, but they didn't need this business. They just needed their market share. And often all the debt that brings these companies down were taken on by private equity ownership and executives that make really weird decisions for the company, like how Bain Capital led Toys R Us into billions and billions of dollars of various types of debt. And you know what happens when there's a company that's sinking underneath mounting debt and looks like it's going to go bankrupt? Short sellers come in and they short that company further. Short selling is complicated, but it adds a lot more selling to the market, and more selling means the price goes down. But if a company goes bankrupt, you don't have to pay back any of those short sales. You just take away all the money. And all of these companies, Circuit City, get shorted as the sharks circle, and they all make a killing, at least as long as they get out when they're supposed to, before deals like this go through with Amazon. I mean, it would be pretty lucrative if you were like a short selling firm and you could maybe not necessarily communicate or collaborate with someone like Bezos, but if your plays were synchronized and you kind of both were playing the same playbook, I mean, Amazon's pretty good at killing companies, and it wouldn't hurt to have some short sellers shorting those stocks down. I mean, Jeff sure wouldn't mind having some competitors get taken out. And it's obviously not Jeff Bezos that's buying these companies and mismanaging them into the ground. It's private equity firms like Bain Capital or Apollo Global Management that come in, buy out firms like Albertsons. Then they implement weird policies and debt structures that basically just loots the company for all it's worth. Albertsons was bought up by Apollo. This Apollo, founded by Leon Black, who's one of the richest men in America, but still can't get this scrub from his Wikipedia page. I mean, this is like the private equity playbook. Take over a company, saddle it up with insane amounts of debt, usually which is directly profiting your other ventures, your other companies. When the firm can't pay that debt, file for bankruptcy. This is called vulture capitalism, a play on words versus venture capitalism. It's not really legal, so they have to pretend like they're trying to turn their firm around, but they always just happen to structure the deals in a way that if the company dies or lives, them and all their friends will make money regardless, and then they'll leave once it's a corpse. I mean, it's sure good that all these different parties that all benefit from companies going bankrupt can't collaborate and don't know each other and aren't friends, because if they were working together, that would be really fucked up. I mean, it's a good thing that Jeff Bezos is just like a dude that started a bookstore in his garage. Oh, actually, kind of. He was a banker before that. And he spent the end of the 80s working at D.E. Shaw & Co., a hedge fund, where he made it up to 4th senior vice president by the age of 30. So the dude knows some people in the financial industry. I mean, maybe it's just a coincidence that all of these kind of iconic brick and mortar businesses fell victim of really poor management decisions that kind of tanked the companies under massive amounts of debt that then led to short sellers shorting these companies into the ground, making huge profits, and then they get declared bankruptcy and Amazon gobbled up their market share. I mean, I'm sure it's just businessmen doing business, right? Oh, right. We were going to wind up here Well, it's kind of weird that when you look at the Wikipedia article for Amazon and you search for this phrase, you turn up 0 results. And then when you go to Amazon Web Services, when you search for this phrase, you turn up 0 results. Despite the fact that for like almost a decade now, this has been happening. And I mean, who knows how close the ties are between them and them. But we know that they're the ones managing the server for all of their top secret data cloud storage. So what's the point of all this? I honestly don't know. I'm just kind of working on a theory, trying to connect some dots, because all of these unrelated bankruptcies just so happen to benefit the same couple of different parties while the marketplace shrank smaller and smaller. And more of the things we buy and do and use got tied into certain webs of power. I don't know. I'm probably making a big deal out of nothing. I'll go back to researching jars of pickles now.
Well, yikes. I think
Yikes is right.
we all know there's lots of insider trading going on, and the derivatives that are much bigger than the regular market is lots of short selling, and all this stuff is going on. But what he didn't mention is Bezos' grandpa, who was in charge of the Atomic Commission and developed the just-in-time delivery system that Amazon is making a lot of good use of, and how that's all top secret. It's all Q level clearance. A lot of that information that somehow got funneled to the grandson.
Interesting. And that's why this other clip ties in, because you're looking at the financial market with products, right? And now we're going into the financial market with our housing. And why is that important? Because if we're not having to purchase products, right? We also have a house in which we need to be able to afford to purchase one, have the opportunity to have one. But also when you look at, in fact, Bain Capital and how Mitt Romney seemed to have thrown the presidency towards Obama, and at the same time caused the market to dip down, and at the same time a lot of investors bought up during that dip, and then because of that big purchase, we're then able to create a bubble that's not actually going to be a bubble now. It seems to be all manufactured, and they all seem to be tied in together. So watch this next clip and you'll see how it ties into the previous clip, and how economically we have to get smarter as consumers. Because if not, we're just going to be slaves to the machine.
I've been seeing a lot of videos on Instagram and TikTok of people talking about the cost of housing being out of control, the cost of rent being out of control. Now, I'm all about the bullshit and the laughs and giggles, but check it. You're talking to a very accomplished real estate broker. I'm a broker in 17 states, and I actually represented Fannie Mae during this infamous real estate crash for the state of Georgia. The exact person that you can blame, if you want to blame somebody, for the housing situation being messed up, I'll give you a hint. You probably got a bedazzled t-shirt with his face all over it. Now, it was Barack Obama. Now, am I a Republican? No. Am I a Trump supporter? No. But do I have information? Do I have firsthand accounts of what went on? Oh, yes, I do. So stay tuned. During the infamous housing crash, there was a thing called the Protecting Tenants Under Foreclosure Act. If you were in a property and you were renting it, you were able to stay in that property. If you were a homeowner and you lost a property, you were allowed to rent that property and be able to stay there, ironically, for about 2 or 3 years, so that you could get yourself together. So if you were one of the 8,000 homes, you probably had me come to the property and negotiate a rent with you and manage the property while you were there. Now, in a lot of instances, these tenants and sometimes these homeowners, after a year or two, were able to gather their finances and they were able to want to purchase the property. That sounds logical. So after about a few hundred offers would always be denied, I'm on a conference call and I ask and I inquire, why are we not allowing these people to buy their homes that they've been living in? Like, why are we doing that? You want to know what I was told? By Fannie Mae. I was told that they have direct instructions to not do that. And so do you want to know what happened sometime later? They were pooling these properties in pool sales, and you had to have between 10 and 50 million dollars in escrow in order to bid on a house that somebody was living in that was 60,000, even though that family were offering 60,000 cash to buy their home. But who would have that type of money, Summer? Who would have that type of money? Because it ain't nobody up here in the A. Oh, I'll tell you who had it because I represented them. China, South Africa, Australia, hedge funds from outside entities. I had no idea that America was for sale. And the Obama administration totally is the one that put it on the market. And I said, this is going to harm Americans. Like, why do you not want Americans to be able to buy this property at these low rates? And I also was told, because if you have a father who makes good money and his wife, the mother, makes good money, and they're not paying high prices for where they live, and they're saving money, and now they are opening businesses, and now the wife's not working, taking care of the family, it changes the dynamic and the course of how America is built, and we don't want that. So basically, you want people to stay in debt, and you want them to pay these exorbitant prices. This was all by design, y'all. By design. So anyone that listened to me during that time, think back, the Stitches video. If you was one of them people, I told everybody, there is something up. Will you please buy whatever property you can? I don't even care if you like the bitch. Buy it. I did the same thing. I bought a house for $100,000 and it's worth $415 today. It's not even the normal rate of inflation. So I was right that something was amiss. So ask yourself, did you know that about 30% of real estate is owned by outside entities, these hedge funds? The reason why you can't find a house is because they're coming in with 30, 40, 50,000 over asking price with cash, and you can't find a house? You never ask yourself, why did the housing market, why did a basic dusty ass trap house go from 100,000 to 300,000 overnight? You think that was an accident? And stop with the bullshit that the market's getting ready to go back. It's not going back, because before it was in our control. Now we got it's in big business control. The market's not going back. So if you missed knowing me during that time, I'm sorry. So again, you can thank the Obama administration for your high rent and your high housing prices, because once they bought it for $60,000 and the rent went from a one bedroom in Atlanta was around $800 and now it's $1,500, and some business owners in Australia and South Africa, you paying for their luxury. You could thank Obama for that. Okay, that was him. He was your color, but not your kind. Now, I voted for Barack Obama twice. Like I say, don't come at me with that shit.
And there you go. And there you go. Carol, you're on mute.
Yeah, I got the
go
leaf
ahead.
blowers now. But yeah, we're gonna see pennies on the dollar soon enough, and it'll be all sucked away, all the value to BlackRock.
I'm wondering if BlackRock, if the black in BlackRock is Leon Black, because that was what was mentioned in the very first clip, and that would make sense if that were the case.
Well, I'm not
Hey,
sure.
Tara.
Hey guys,
Hey,
isn't
Tara.
there like Kofor Black or something?
There's a lot of blacks. There's black water. There's all kind of black. So yeah, seems to be kind of a code word for the shadow.
And the
The black pill.
The Black Pill. The Burning Man is that I didn't realize is that Black Rock.
Mm-hmm.
So that I just learned that this year.
Yep. And
I think
and
a
the name.
deep dive on Leon Black would be a good idea.
Yeah.
So who is he?
He's
I think-
connected to Bain and Company and was a partner of a lot of these companies that would buy some of the companies that were struggling because of debt, turn them inside out, strip as much money out of them as they can, and move on. And he worked with Deshaun and Company and Bain and Company, and it seemed that every time one of these entities went under, Bezos was able to sell more on Amazon with those products that were not able to be found on the market.
Yep.
What
And
is-
Black and Veatch,
Yeah, there's
that's
a-
another one.
mhm. Many
Yeah,
shenanigans.
it's funny because there's a lot of blacks, and then remember with the like slave trade and stuff, there's a lot of browns, like the Harriman and Brown and like whatever. So it's like, are these just like color revolution codes or something? I don't know. Anyways, they do the same method, right? They're always what you just described. Oh yeah, same exact thing that all these Black Rocks vanguards do.
Absolutely. So I thought those two connected pretty well economically. And it gives us some names to dig into. I just think it's abhorrent, and I think it's absolutely unacceptable that anybody would try to guilt us and say, oh, no, this is for the security of our country. My ass, it's for the security of our country. My ass, it's for anything other than a handful of money whores, right? So no one's going to convince you, oh, you're being treasonous by talking about this. No, you're being, let's see, a gaslighter who's a narcissistic pig, who's a money whore, who did everything in order to benefit yourself, in order to sell that Bill of Rights to people and call it capitalism. This is not freaking capitalism. Me owning my business and being able to employ people, like that is something that is capitalism. There's mom and pop shops. There's all kinds of people that run business in a regular way. And then there's vulture capitalism. Then there's crony capitalism. And these are the things that we should push back against, because these are the entities that buy out our governments, buy off our elected officials, and screw with our entire existence, and then try to gaslight us into believing that we are going to destroy our country if we don't let them rape us money-wise and leave us destitute, while they go for slave labor in another country, and they make all of our men opioid addicts because they have no job and no industry here because it's been put to another country so they can get a 15-year-old kid digging in a mine to get a piece of something for their freaking batteries. Like, these men are disgusting, and I'm tired of all of us tippy-toeing around like we're walking on their eggshells that they laid out. Kick those eggshells over and tell them to kiss our ass. It's time. Like, they don't get to run shit.
Well, one of the squirrely words, I think, is actually freedom. And I think Peter talked a little bit about this too, because I think it's been used to justify being a pirate and stealing and having the freedom to just do whatever you want, no matter who it hurts, without any, limits or, ethics or anything surrounding it and protecting it. And so it's been twisted, like much of our language, into people supporting a word they think it has value, and then to realize that it's being turned on its head and used in illegal ways, really. This wasn't the idea that you can just steal from anybody with abandon. Even though that is how our country was founded. Sir Walter Raleigh, he had the charter, what did they call it? The patent to steal from the Spaniards and be a pirate. Look, kid, you got a kitty cat.
He saw that I was stressed out, or he thought that I was upset and stressed out, so he ran over to rub against me to calm me down. I'm like, I'm not upset.
That
I'm
is
I'm just being a mama bear. Like, it's okay, buddy. He's like, oh no, she's upset. So he's like rubbing into me to try to calm me down. He's sweet.
What a sweetie.
Well, Tara, it's nice to have you with us again. We've been missing you. I know you've been super busy. What are you thinking about?
Well, one thing that I've been doing long term that you guys know matches up to kind of what you guys were showing when I jumped in. But real quick, what you were just saying, I have an example of the creepy word thing because have you guys seen Karlin Borshenko at all? Okay, so she's a psychologist in Vermont or New Hampshire, and she just went undercover to a socialism conference, and they were the people there were very excited to have a mask mandate. Like the guy was like, "We have a mask mandate," and everyone cheers, and just the weirdest stuff. But this one, she had a recording thing in her pocket, but this one person was saying, speaking of like, making a weird definition of freedom, liberation actually, child liberation for child sex workers was this woman's thing, so that child sex workers can be liberated to do their thing.
Liberated away from their parents,
And
particularly.
liberated away, exactly. Bingo.
Yeah, it's a twist of that language, completely twisted on its head, upside down. Up is down and down is up.
Just the fact that they're cheering a mask mandate, you have to be pretty twisted. I mean, these are people that are bringing in doom, thinking they're saving the world, and they're allowing people to experiment on us, play mind games with us,
And
to
our
actually,
children.
yeah, and to exploit our very being. And the crazy thing is, the people doing it don't even believe in like socialism or communism. They're just using them as their foot soldiers. So they're pawns pushing
Mhm.
for the activities of those who they will be the first in line to get that, and they don't even know it. So they look like droning on idiots that are just, and so it's kind of like, yeah, let the droning on zombie guide me into the apocalypse, and then I get to watch them get offed because they're so taken aback that here, why are the people who supported my behavior turning against me right now? Like, I don't have time for these morons.
Yeah,
It's ridiculous.
Professor Hamamoto had a great word for people like that, which was servitors of empire. And I think you're right. Sometimes they don't realize they're servitors. Sometimes they do because they've been coerced one way or another.
Or they think they're going to be the clipboard holder. Oh,
Yeah.
I get to be the clipboard holder and I'm a special person. So they're going to like me more than anybody else. And it's like, no, they're not. You're a means to an end. Have you ever met who they are? Do they call you? Do they talk to you and sit down and talk to you about the plans? Or do you just get your plans by another subordinate? Like, what's going on?
Well, speaking of Professor Hamamoto, I think we all need to hold him in our hearts right now because we haven't seen him in a while, and we're concerned.
Well, so you're saying he's MIA?
Not feeling well.
Yeah, he's not feeling well. He's not broadcasting. So,
Yeah, his last
Aw.
broadcast was in, I think, July the 4th.
Okay. Oh, I didn't realize
Yeah.
it had been that long.
So hold him in your hearts.
Okay, thank you for the information because I was wondering about him too.
I think we all have been. Yeah, but his book was just about that. How do people do things against their better interest? How do they become twisted into wanting to do it and to loving, if you can call it that, the people that have enslaved them, which is kind of the program over many hundreds of years. That's kind of the way a few people can control a lot of people.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And Carol, should we go on to your clip so that we don't get stuck in the economic doom and gloom. I think we gave enough to people so that they
Okay.
can look up particular names or things that they're interested in.
Oh, yeah,
Well,
that's good.
I just want to add one thing, that there's a certain line, and it's probably a blurry one, where the abused become the abuser. And so
Yes.
when you're abused, you still can, have a certain level of getting saved. Once you become the abuser, your saving is on a whole different level. It's up to you and your maker, because to the rest of us, you've crossed that line.
Absolutely.
Well, let's start with the one about Allison V, because there's stuff to say about that. But what this is, it's a 7-minute video about Dr. John Perez and the invention that he has put out to the world, which is a water-soluble small molecule version of garlic, and how it can go into your brain or your heart within 3 milliseconds with what he's doing, and how that has really helped people with all kinds of things, including cancer and long COVID. So let's hear his story.
Okay, let's hear it.
Hello, my name is Dr. John S. Perez. I'm board certified by the ACS in chemistry with expertise in biochemistry and molecular biology. I'm one of the top 3 PCR experts in the world who invented the synthetic replication of chromosomes with a single telomere primer end to end. I also invented the 3' hang PCR and the telomere link PCR Stella using a poly-A tail and restricted nucleotide numbers. To measure the telomere length, I was the first person to ever crystallize the telomere binding protein on the planet. I'm also a cybersecurity expert, codes in 35 different languages, who has done work for both the CIA and NSA, and I have the patents to prove it. I'm here today to talk to you about my own experience with long COVID. Fall of 2019, I had long COVID. Nearly killed me. I had asthma, cytokine storms, loss of smell and taste. That's why I invented a product called Allison V to save my own life of all of these predicaments and symptoms. How that product actually works has been described on this website through content I've posted via Twitter and YouTube, and we'll continue to do that on social media as we progress forward. I will bring this product to market. This is a processed food product. It is a safe processed food product, and garlic for centuries has been consumed and farmed along with the vapors, and there have never been any deaths. So it's considered a food safe product by the FDA. How you consume this product is your choice. You can orally consume it, you can put it in your ear, or you can leverage nicotine platform to vaporize the product. Or you can leverage the C-Cell platform, which was designed for cannabis consumption. How you consume the product is your choice. The decision is up to you. Ultimately, you will define the success of this product. I can tell you that as a diabetic with EGIDS, that consuming the product in vapor form leads to blood pressure reduction via homeostasis, and that I am going on year 4 without a cold. I can tell you that the issues that I had regarding cytokine storms and antibody production towards my food, including inflammation in my heart, including loss of sense of smell and taste in my brain, disappeared from using this product for very specific reasons, which I have cited and will continue to cite relative to the patent that was filed March 23rd, 2020. There are specific reasons in physics and biochemistry. They're extremely technical that are typically not understood by a common medical doctor relative to physical chemistry at the PhD level of a lab researcher. And it is important to understand all of these things and every single aspect. So I leave you with this demonstration of the product to prove to you that it's extremely safe. And 2 to 3 times a day using this product will destroy any coronaviruses and disable bacteria in your lungs. This is well published. In vitro and in vivo clinical trials have all pointed in this direction. There have even been intravenous clinical trials. So we know there's extensive safety with allicin. The problem with allicin is it's not thermally stable and it's not soluble in water. And that is a problem with the plant. I solved that problem to produce 100% thermally stable allicin in such a way that can be used with C-cell cartridges or cottonwood nicotine cartridges if you wish to consume this product via your
You
lungs.
walk in here, you'll be on camera.
This is a safe product. And if you're consuming garlic, you're already inhaling it. So the ability to monocoat your lungs in 1 millisecond requires off-the-shelf vapor hardware to do that. And when you do that, you give yourself a fighting chance against these pathogens. In addition, allicin is a very friendly, safe molecule. The body loves it. It will hit your heart in 2 milliseconds. And fortunately, as your heart moves blood from your left ventricle up into your brain, it will get to your brain in 3 milliseconds. And because this is a 100 angstrom molecule, you can denature the spike protein and the envelope protein via the disulfide bridges that have been published in Science and Nature and illustrated specifically in the claims of our patent pending technology, US 17210366, filed March 23rd, 2020. Ultimately, you're going to decide whether you like this product. I hope you try it. I hope you have a great experience. I hope you use it and have the same kind of experience that I have had. And if you don't want to use it, that's your choice. But I am going to make the product available to people and let them make that choice. I've sent out this product to over 50 people. Some of them have chosen to use it. Some of them have not chosen to use it. The ones that have chosen to use it have had tremendous results, and the feedback has been incredible. Have a great day. Thank you for your time.
Well, the reason I wanted to play this video was because I know that people are starting to use it. George is, and our beloved McDuff has been working with Nick Potowski. I might not have said his last name right. And they were actually talking about this last night. So there's a little serendipity. I think I'd already picked it out. But so he did receive some from Dr. John, and he's got enough for a month, and he's going to be trying it on his cancer. So it's pretty exciting, I think. And I ordered some. I think there's some other Ospreys that have ordered some too, just to have it on hand. It's, water soluble garlic molecules. It's not anything scary, but it has a lot of potential. Now, it was interesting hearing that again, because it's interesting that he's cybersecurity and that he patented it on March 23rd, 2020, after having long COVID. That was an interesting fact there. So hard not to notice that. But so he's kind of an insider, but he did it to save himself, he says, and it really is helping people. I think he has some on his website is Allicin V, and that's ALLICIN with a V.com. He's got some other people that they're telling their stories with it, how it's worked for them. But addresses a lot of issues that even healthy people have. So it's interesting.
Wait, Carol,
Nice.
can you say the email again?
Okay, here's
Thank you. There it is.
Yeah, it's Allicin, ALLICIN -V.com.
And I'm about to have to jump off because I've got carpool duty. And then you ladies take it away. I know, Carol, you had another link. So I'll just say goodbye to everyone and I'll listen to you guys on YouTube.
Okay,
Okay,
have a
yeah,
great
'cause I
day,
think-
Amber.
Have a great weekend.
Eek.
Bye.
Bye,
You
Amber.
too.
Bye.
I loved
Mwah.
it. Okay. Well, bye, Amber. Yeah, this one is really when I told her about this video earlier before we went on live stream, she was talking about her experience singing in the choir. This other video, which is about 15 minutes, but it's really cool. It's about this 1400 cathedral built in 1400 around then, long time ago, and it had been plastered over the years, and then they cleared it out and found that on the arches, all these beautiful Gothic arches, are these little cubes and rectangles hanging down, and there's hundreds and hundreds of them, and each one had a pattern that is a cymatic pattern and was able to be translated into notes. And then they played the music of the notes, and it just resonates. And so they're kind of the people that figured this out were looking into the architecture of other cathedrals, really old cathedrals, and realizing that just the architecture has frozen music in it. Even just where the columns are, and looking at that makes these cymatic patterns as well. And so each cathedral, the speculation was it's like a Rife machine. You can go there to be healed, and you can feel with the choir, with the organs, the pipe organs that have been, were there hundreds of years ago, that it just all resonated, these beautiful healing frequencies. So it's kind of cool. So I think there's a couple little sections that talk about it. If you want to go ahead and play
That sounds
it.
amazing. How beautiful.
Yeah.
And I'm showing a picture of cymatics in case people not really sure what Carol
Yeah,
was
well,
talking
the video does go into it, but if you put a bowl of water and you shine light into it, and then you can put frequencies either electronically or play the bowl with a bow, different notes make these different patterns, but they're three-dimensional patterns. They're not just, we see them flat from the photograph, but they're actually three-dimensional, and they're fractal. So they go down and down and down. They're the same, and your cells are water. And when you put light shine or sound into the water in your cells, which are round bowls, it affects you, of course. So either positively or negatively, if we have icky street lights or whatever. But anyway, this is how to use it as a beautiful healing force. Yeah, so start about 1 minute or something, because there's a little beginning.
Yeah, I have it at the 1 minute mark.
Okay.
All right, here we go.
Chapel.com, the official page. And as you can see here, Rosalind Chapel 1446. And here we have, this is obviously an artist rendition. Got the chapel up here, sitting up high on this foundation. And of course, the ruins of something pretty big down here as well. So interesting. So just quickly, the art history. Rosalind Chapel has enjoyed a rich and sometimes turbulent history. Founded in 1446 as a family chapel, the building was incomplete when the founder, Sir William St. Clair, died in 1484. His son, Sir Oliver St. Clair, roofed the choir with its stone vault, but did not complete his father's original design. Following the Reformation, the chapel fell into disrepair, and in 1650, Cromwell's troops attacked Rosslyn Castle and stabled their horses inside the chapel. Following a period of Victorian repair and restoration, The chapel was rededicated in 1862 and weekly services began again. A report in 1954 highlighted the poor condition of the stonework, and the thinking at the time was to cover the historic stonework with cementous slurry. So they covered it in slurry. So Paul Cook might be interested in that bit of information. A further report in 1995 confirmed that damage was occurring and that humidity to the chapel was very high, blah, 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 probably because they covered it in cementitious slurry. So there you go. Like, this is the official site of Rosalind Chapel, and that's it. That's the history for a famous chapel that is, you know, almost 600 years old, right? 550 years old. They just sort of a few names. They don't, you know, nothing about, again, you know, nothing about how it was built or anything like that. So that is Rosalind Chapel. So what I want to have a look at now is something that's inside Rosalind Chapel, and there are these cubes, and they are on the ceiling inside the chapel. And it says here, Rosalind Chapel and the mystery of the cubes. Rosalind Chapel. The place is located a few dozen kilometres from Edinburgh, which is the cultural capital of Scotland. It's in a village of no particular interest, and Celtic sacred inscriptions have been found nearby, and Rosalind is part of a druidic complex dedicated to Saturn, the ultimate stage of Celtic initiation. Well, there you go. That's a bit different to what I thought the chapel was. A bit different to the story we just read, right? The Rosalind Chapel Cubes. In 2003, this is by Stuart Mitchell. In 2003, my father, T.J. Mitchell, introduced me to one of the wonders of science and musical architecture, Rosalind Chapel, which was 8 miles from where he lived. And he writes, I may have been fortunate in the fact that I lived close by to the chapel, and it made it easy for me to access and research its many wonders. But it was a musical mystery and its connection to a source of geometry, as defined by nature, that really caught my attention. The Lady Choir section of the chapel is covered by 215 cubes and rectangles, protruding on stems from 14 arches that crisscross one another, and carved into each cube are 13 geometric patterns that are repeated throughout the entire 215 cubes sequentially. The patterns are only found collectively within one known science, and that is cymatics, or Chladni
To be free and flexible and creative was really essential to what I wanted to make, and I didn't find a platform.
patterns. These are produced very easily by laws of resonance and vibration by the use of some very basic materials which were readily available in medieval times. And here we have some pictures of the cubes. And we all know what cymatics are, right? Cymatics. Cymatics is the signature of music. Cymatics is literally looking at music. It's the geometric expression or the physical expression of a musical frequency. That is a cymatic. So this chapel has cymatics encoded into it, like drawn on these cubes across the ceiling in a certain part of the chapel. And so what happened? Well, this guy, what was his name? Stuart Mitchell. His dad basically took him in, and his dad told him there's a mystery here, and it took them, I think it was 23 years to crack it. And what they found out is it was cymatic patterns. Okay, we've all seen the cymatics, and we've also, you know, it's very linked to, you know, the Dr. Emoto stuff, but cymatics are certain frequencies. So what did they do? they wrote the frequencies down, and guess what? They were notes, you know, frequencies are notes. It's a song, it's a tune, it's a harmonic. So the question is, do all cathedrals have this? Do they all have their own tone, their own sound that we can find? Because there is a lady who goes into chapels and cathedrals and records the silence, and she actually comes out with a sound. She's got a certain way that she does it. She records it 7 times, but I will have a listen to that in a minute. But first of all, let's have a listen to the sound of Rosslyn Chapel Cubes and the song that is encoded within this building. And here we are on tanyaharris.com, and this is the architecture of sound. And here we have some pretty familiar, kind of images to this little genre of research, the old world architecture. And down here we have the floor plans. Now, I'm sure you've all seen these as well. We find these, floor plans, they're everywhere when we're looking for, designs and blueprints and construction stuff. We always come across these floor plan layouts. Now, Tanya Harris is the lady who went into different cathedrals and she recorded the silence. And then she played the silence back and recorded that again and did that 7 times to try and find out if there was a resonant frequency to these buildings. Now, you can see that, these are all cymatic patterns. So then what she did was she played what she got back into water and she started getting these cymatic patterns out. And, we all know, we've discussed the link between sound and, shape, form, geometry, cymatics, this whole thing, very, very often. And it says down here that Harris employed the architecture of Nicholas Hawksmoor as an instrument to explore the relationship between sound and geometry within form. To investigate this concept, she recorded the resonant frequency of 4 Hawksmoor churches, inspired by a technique discovered by Alvin Lucia. Harris recorded the silence of each church and played this recording back into the church while recording, and repeated this process until the resonant frequency of the church became audible.
I think you could skip forward to 1615 because she goes into the detail. It's really interesting, but I think his conclusions at the end, the last couple minutes, are real interesting if you want to skip forward, or we could just start talking about it because it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, I have that other part ready.
Oh, okay.
As cymatic. These are literally cymatic machines, that they're frequency generators. That's what they are. They're like big Rife machines, right? This is what a Rife machine is. It's a frequency generator. And they were used for healing. And of course, Royal Raymond Rife was thrown in jail and wasn't allowed to sell his invention because it actually helped people. So that's what we're talking about, a Rife machine on a massive scale that would give out frequencies to, benefit, the people in the surrounding area. And as we heard, the music that they got out of Rosalind Chapel, they sung as a choir, right? So this is the thing. Chapels seem to be also designed to carry and hold that frequency, especially when sung by choirs, played by organs, right? And of course, on the top of Rosalind Chapel, there's bells. So we've got the bells. So now we have this, we have our cathedrals, the cathode rays with their spires on the tops. We have the choirs, the organs, and the bells. They're all musical. We have all the cymatic shapes through them and the different, logos and things. And now we have evidence that they have a resonant frequency that no doubt matches, all the cymatic shapes that we see all over these buildings. So, yeah, I just wanted to show you guys that because it's just really a bit more proof that we're on the right track, I think. So, I guess what we need to do now, I'm going to have to do a bit more research into Tanya Harris. I really just wanted to show the Rosalind Chapel, but I thought I'd put a bit of a story for anyone new to the topic. But it's just tanyaharris.com, and she gets into all the different frequencies, that's cymatics and sound and all these different things. And she's a bit of an artist as well. There's a bit to read here, so go and check it out. And there's a few different articles here. Consciousness resides in geometry. And we've all seen this shape before, right? And that is a cymatic pattern. That's lots of different waves being put out at the same time. And also very flower of lifey and much other stuff. So there you go, guys. What do you think? I don't know if we can, but we should be all going out recording the silence, I guess, trying to work out what the cymatic shapes of these buildings are, and then what happens when you play that tune back in that building. I wonder what happens then, because I had a bit of a look, and I don't know if those recordings of the choir singing that code from the song from Rosalind Chapel, I don't know if that was done inside the chapel or not. But
anyway, that's probably enough. I think
Wow.
Rife, he talked about resonant frequencies healing, but also there are destructive frequencies that can explode matter and disintegrate matter. And I think we're kind of seeing both things now. And my guess is that a lot of this ancient technology that goes way back, probably before that, I think some putting it into stone was a way to protect it and to protect the information. And that's kind of some of the hidden information is really for people. It's not to hide from people, it's for people. And when we're seeing energy weapons messing up things, that's using it for the opposite reason. So I don't know, it was what we heard Amber say, not on the show, was what it feels like for her to be in a choir and the difference between being in a beautiful cathedral and how that resonates back and how it affects everybody in the audience. And the difference is when you're in a concert hall and you have all these baffles and they're just trying to kind of get the average sound, that it's a really different experience. So, I think that awe, that wonder, that being a part of something way bigger than you can ever imagine comes from the resonance, and that's why we use that language like that too. It's got meaning and it's got health. Anyway, I think it's really cool. What do you guys think?
Well, I think a lot of stuff. One of the things that you just one thing is like we all have a good example with Gregorian chants.
Mhm.
And how when they do those certain chants in their cathedral type buildings, just like how an amazing sound that is. And even what you're saying right now, if you get really metaphysical with it, I think that you can travel on that vibration. It almost like carpet ride, like pick you up and take you somewhere, even your consciousness anyways. And then a couple more thoughts, just like obviously snowflakes. It kind of shows that snowflakes are kind of showing like vibration.
Yes, frozen patterns.
Yeah. Crop circles. Maybe that makes a little more sense about vibrating the patterns on the crop circles. And the other thing, the last thing that I was thinking, not the last thing, but one of the things came to my consciousness is like, maybe that draws a kind of line on why Masons are the builders and the building blocks and the stone, but also somehow the like secret keepers of some like secret information, you know?
Yeah, I've wondered about that too. That, yeah, in that little purse they carry around or whatever, there's something that can, you know, melt stone. I mean, the vibrations are really powerful. So, and it's protected because it can be terrible and it can be wonderful. And so you have to have a good consciousness to hold those thoughts and to know what to do. I think that maybe now some of the people that have this technology are the wrong holders of those secrets. So that's something we all have to notice and do what we can about it. That's what I think anyway.
Yeah, now
Like
I want to
make our
go
own
visit
music.
my local cathedral.
Mm-hmm.
No, you think they get mad if I started singing in it?
No, why
No
don't you
way,
sing us out?
that's how
Yes,
we do it.
Sing us out, Tyrone, if you have a song for us.
Or are you gonna kill me with embarrassment?
Because the more you do it, the more you get used to it and the comfortable you feel.
You have a beautiful voice. We all love your voice. So sing us out. Yeah.
Sing
it, Tyrone.
I don't have anything prepared. Sing what?
Okay.
Do you got? What about any
I'll have to do it next time.
Yeah,
You gotta
do it
something
next
better.
time. That'd be great.
Yeah, I gotta have
Yeah.
something
Actually, all three of you guys are great singers. I'm the only one. I'm a drummer, so maybe we could practice.
Okay, we'll tune in next week to hear Tyrone sing us out.
Okay.
Woo! That sounds like a great plan. And I'm sorry I was late, but I'm glad I caught up with you guys.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you did too,
Thanks
Sarah.
for joining.
Okay, awesome. Have a great weekend, guys. Eek!
Okay, y'all too.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
Tyrone. Bye, Carol.
Bye.
Mwah.